Okay, awesome.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a different version of Coffee Talk Apologetics because this is actually we're going to do kind of a trial run of Levi interviewing someone regarding their faith, right? Is that kind of the parameters of what the assignment is?
It's 8 questions about their worldview.
Okay. So in this one, we're gonna kind of, and Ben, you're gonna kind of be the moderator because that'll be the when we do this. And I'm not sure, it might have to be Friday because I don't think that the person that I have lined up can do it tomorrow. So we might have to do our real one on Friday, but that's fine.
Okay, if I were to do it Friday.
It would
Okay,
have to be
yeah.
probably later in the day. Is that
Yeah,
fine?
yeah, well, I
Yeah.
have a golf match on Friday, but we can figure it out later.
Yeah, we can do it later. We'll just find
Okay.
out the time, but okay, so Ben, you'll be kind of like the moderator, and if there's, we'll kind of just, like I said, this is kind of a role play. So I'm not actually telling
Want me
you.
to treat this like a debate? I've watched many debates. I know how to do it.
Well, it's supposed to be more, I think it's supposed to be more friendly than a debate, right, Levi? Because you're really
Yeah,
just
I would
inquiring.
say I'm not coming at anybody ready to debate.
We can make
Yeah.
this fun.
We might have to do that for another podcast.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
person that's moderating the debate is not supposed to be like instigating stuff.
He's
No,
like,
that's not what I mean.
yeah, let's debate.
No, no,
Ben's like,
I
yes.
trust me. It'll be funny. It'll be funny.
All right, this will be interesting, Levi. And here's the thing, Levi, this will be good because then you can be like, okay, Ben, you're fired for Friday.
Right. Ben, you're out of here.
You're
All
fired.
right.
We
No,
just
do you guys
won't,
want?
we'll make
I
it invite only on Friday, and then we just won't let him in the room.
trust me. No, trust me.
He's like, I
It'll be
swear I
good.
have the right
It'll
passcode. I
take
don't know
me
what's
one
going
minute.
on.
It'll take me 1 minute. All right.
All right.
So, first off, so I know what side are you defending, Katura?
I'm not actually defending anything. I'm answering his questions.
I mean, okay, then what side are you taking? Like, what?
I'm not telling you. That's part of my role play.
Yes,
Is
Well,
I
then I
get to give
can't
Levi.
introduce you. I can't
I
introduce
know.
you.
I know. That's why I said it's a little bit different. Because
Then
it's
I
not
can't
gonna
do
be.
it.
I can't do it. Because I'm not gonna tell you, Levi. Obviously, you're gonna know on Friday what the person is, because I've got
Uh-huh.
potentially two people. So
Okay. Okay, sweet.
um and my brother is actually working on someone as well. So just in case, because we kind of had to call the ball to do it a little bit quicker than I was anticipating. So I'm just
Yeah, that's on
trying to
me.
figure out
I was like,
schedules.
hey, can we do
Um,
it tomorrow?
yeah. So I'm like, okay,
Give
that's
you a
quick.
ton of notice.
So we're gonna do this one as kind of like a role play, but I'm not in this one. I'm not gonna tell you what
So we're
position
gonna
I'm
have to
coming
guess.
from. So I am actually role playing something that is from a belief system that I held at one point in my life.
Huh.
But I'm not gonna tell
Okay.
you. I'm gonna see if you can figure it out with your questions.
Okay,
I
sweet.
thought
Let's
that
do
would
it.
be fun.
Yeah, that sounds super fun. All right,
You
you want
should
to
play
jump in right
like
now?
Greek mythology.
So yeah. I do love Greek mythology though.
Yeah,
Um
Greek mythology is cool, like
I'm
Jack
an
Frost
avid
and all
reader.
them.
Yeah. So yeah, you have
You want
like
me to go for it?
centaurs and yep, go for it.
Okay. 7 worldview questions. Number 1, what is the prime reality or source authority? So for all these, I also had to go in and fill out what I believe them to be. So would you like me to read what Christian theism, what I believe? Or do you want to
Yeah. So I'm like, if I'm at like doing it how I am doing how I am, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know what that means. So that
Yeah,
might be the question that they would say is like,
exactly,
yeah, can you
exactly.
describe that
That's
a
why I
little
have
bit
it
more?
written down.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say for Christian theism, my belief, it is the infinite personal God revealed in holy scriptures. This God is triune, transcendent, and immanent, omniscient, sovereign, and good.
Okay.
So that's what I would say that prime reality is.
Okay. So I guess the prime reality for mine would be, I guess, like everything.
Okay.
So yeah, it's more of like an everything
Okay.
as a prime reality.
So
So
you say your prime reality. I'm actually gonna write this down as I
yeah.
go. Okay. Prime reality, everything. Number 1. Okay. My second question is, what is the nature of external reality? That is the world around us.
What do you mean by the nature of it?
So for me, I would say I believe that the cosmos, how the universe is in order, God created ex nihilo, formed out of nothing to operate with a uniformity of cause and effect in an open system. So like what is around us and
Okay,
how does
so
it work?
so as far as like creation, so kind of my
Yes.
theology on creation.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty fair.
Okay, so I would say that yeah, from this worldview that I'm describing,
Yeah.
I would say that I believe that there is a specific design and a creator involved in the creation of all things. So that,
Mhm.
when you see a building, there's a builder. You see a painting, there's a painter. So I
Mhm.
don't believe that you have to actually like see something to know that there is a mind of sorts
So you're
behind it.
saying you know that there's a creator of this earth because it's here.
Yeah, I
Someone must
believe
have
that
made
the evidence in and of itself is the
is the
fact that
answer.
everything's here.
Okay.
So,
So you
like you
wouldn't
would,
say you wouldn't believe in a creator. You would say, okay, I know there's a creator, but I'm not believing in some God.
yeah, I would say that I'm more in the I don't know kind of camp.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
would think that I know that there's something that created it. I can't specifically point um to one specific thing
Okay.
that
Okay.
created.
Got it. Okay, number 3. What is a human being?
A human being is one of the creations
Hmm.
within the world. So we're just another one of, so like dolphins are a creation within the world, trees are a creation within the world. Humans are just another animal type
Yeah.
creature that
Are human
is,
beings good?
are human beings good? How do you define good?
Like, are we intelligent? Are we creative? Do we possess personality?
Yes, I also believe that dolphins are a good example.
Okay.
I actually
Okay.
have a tattoo. This is actually for real. I do have a tattoo. I have a
This is
tattoo.
real.
I have a tattoo of a dolphin on my the inside of my right ankle. And part of the reason that I got the dolphin tattoo is because I feel that dolphins actually exhibit a lot of those same things that you just described, that
Yeah.
they tend to look out for one another, that they tend to exhibit intelligence, that when kept in the wild, they can show that they recognize their own reflection versus the reflection of another dolphin in a mirror. So they tend to, even with animals that are not dolphins, so animals that are, let's say, like a seal or something like that, they
Yeah.
will defend that seal against an attack from, say, like a shark. Um, so they have been known to travel in pods. They tend to stay within, like family units.
Yeah.
So I would say dolphins are a good example of another creature in this
Okay. All
world
right. Okay.
that exhibits some of those same things that you classify as good.
All right. Number 4. What happens to a person at death?
I don't believe that energy in any way, shape, or form ends. So I believe that there is something. I don't have any idea where that is. I know some people call it heaven, some people call it nirvana. Um, but I
Okay.
think we go somewhere. I don't think energy just disappears. So I
Okay.
don't think it's going to be in the same form. I don't think, I don't necessarily believe in like I'm not a person that believes in ghosts,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I think that energy goes somewhere after the body that the energy is inhabiting is no longer
Okay.
functioning.
All right. Why is it possible to know anything at all?
Ooh, why is it possible to know anything at all? That's a good question.
So for me,
Um,
I would say human beings can both know the world around them and God himself because God has built into us the capacity to do so, and he takes an active role in communicating with us.
okay. And I would say I honestly at this point in time in my life, I had not thought about that whatsoever.
Mhm.
So I guess if I was asked that question, I would say, we're probably a combination of where we grew up, how we grew
Yeah.
up, the parents that we grew up around, the society that we grew up around, all of those things kind of filling in. Like I have traits that are, and things that I do that are very similar to like my mom. Some others
Okay.
are very similar to like
Interesting.
my dad. So I'm
I
a
think I'm narrowing
function
it down.
of like the people that are around me.
Okay. Is there like a focus on your mother there?
Mm,
Like
yeah, I would
this.
definitely say that I
Okay.
am
All right. All right. All right.
that I'm
Getting there.
more like her in
Okay.
certain respects. Yeah.
All right. How do we know what is right and wrong?
I think that goes back to like a society. I think that
Yeah.
society develops. I also don't, I don't believe that you can look back in history. So, and claim that they were somehow wrong because they were right for that time that they existed. So, to look back and say like, oh, 50 years ago or 100 years ago or 200 years ago, these people should have done it this way because we do it this way now. I don't believe that you can do that. I think that you have to kind of try to measure them against the society and the norms of the time that they lived in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay. Huh. That one confused me. Okay, 7. What is the meaning of human history? And then along with that, what is the purpose for humans on the planet?
So I think, and I always thought that like and maybe I got some of this from my dad, is that the point is to just continue to develop. So one generation, the goal is to make the next generation better. And I think that goes for really anything that's on the planet, that we're just kind of trying to evolve in a way into
Okay.
something that is better than the generation that was before us. And I think sometimes we're successful in that and sometimes we're not successful in that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Okay, that's my 7 questions. Okay, real quick, what do you think the purpose of humans on the earth is?
What do I think the purpose of humans on the earth?
Yeah, why are we here?
So I think, again, I think we're just one of, I don't think there's any specific significance to
Mhm.
humans specifically. Just that we're another creature, like I said, like the dolphin or the shark or the lion. We're just another creature inside of creation.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go back to the first question. Would you say that God exists, or that there is no God? God does not exist.
No, I think that there is a God. I just can't nail down as to whether or not we're any more significant to him. If I just use the pronoun him because it could very well be a her.
Okay.
um, but I think that there's no more significance to him or her, that we are at no more significance to him or her um than the dolphin.
Okay.
That we're
Wow.
just another one of his, it's like Monet. If Monet was looking at his paintings, does Monet like love one painting and not the other? I don't
Yeah.
know. Probably
Right.
not. He probably
Right.
just likes them for different reasons.
Yeah.
So I think the significance is just being a creation within.
Okay. I have 2 guesses.
Okay.
Okay, so is it like a common worldview?
No,
Would you say?
I don't even think that it was completely a coherent. And
Okay, so
it's
is it like
funny
a branch?
because
Is it
it's,
like a branch of a worldview?
yeah, I would say it's a branch of a worldview.
Okay.
But I think that it was, and so it's tough because like a lot of those things I don't believe anymore.
Right, right,
So
right,
it's
right.
funny to try to like answer it in that way.
You're
So
like,
I was
wow, I
trying to
do
be
not
as
believe
like
this.
how I would answer it at that time.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to when you guys think this time was too.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's after the whole Lutheran thing.
Yeah, it's gotta
You
be
think so?
in between Lutheran and now, right?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Is it like last week?
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Last week after the Zoom, I had a real like,
Okay, was it a
real
childhood?
moment.
Childhood?
So more like college.
College. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Okay, nihilism.
No, it was more like I would say
Naturalism.
it was more with a naturalism. It was
Dang
like
it, I should have guessed
everything,
naturalism.
it's like everything is God. So I literally
Yeah.
got that, and I gave you a little bit of a hint. Um, I actually gave you a little bit of a hint during it because I said that I got a tattoo of the dolphin. So the dolphin
Yeah.
was a huge part of that. So what's interesting is so after I graduated, I have a tattoo on my foot of footprints in the sand. Because
Mhm.
again, I grew up in a very Presbyterian, kind of, my dad was a deacon and an elder. So I grew up going on mission trips and all of that. And then I went to University of Detroit, which is
Yeah.
Jesuit priests.
Yeah.
Um, so it was very different from what I had learned. Jesuit priests teach a very different theology than Presbyterians.
Yeah.
So I kind of, when I started going there and I was like looking at the theology, and they were very like confident that their theology was right,
Mhm.
So I think I had kind of I 3 years, while I was in college. I graduated in 3 years, and I just was kind of like, what, I feel like it's just God is everything.
Yeah.
Like God is everything. God is the animals. God is so it was more almost like a naturalistic
Yeah, like
ideology.
matter
Pantheism.
exists eternally and is
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
And like you just kind of go back to it. It was almost like a little bit of a nirvana kind of a thing. And I kind of tried to describe that when I was talking about like what happens, because that's a great question. Like, what
Yeah.
do you think happens when we die? And I think at that time I didn't think that we just like stopped. I always thought
Mhm.
that like we go somewhere, but I'm like, I don't know if, like heaven, I don't know. Like
Right.
there's no way for me to know. And the theology of UAD, University of Detroit, and the theology of um so I was trying to figure out what I actually thought. And I
Yeah.
went through all sorts of, I mean, there were probably moments where I probably was a little bit more nihilistic. Um
Yeah.
just because I wasn't sure. And I was like, man, I have no idea. But I think I landed more on the side of like nature. And that's, like I said, I got the dolphins specifically
Mhm.
because I was like, dolphins are like, they're intelligent,
Yeah.
they have all these same things. So what makes us a better creature? So I think
Yeah.
that's where my head was at. Um, which is funny. When I
That
look
is
back
fun.
at now.
It's funny to think now. Yeah.
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 Um,
That was fun. Okay.
yeah.
So
So
I kinda had all my sheets here, and I was like trying to guess what you were.
That's good. I did
Amazing.
give you a couple of clues, but here's the thing. I don't think it was coherent. I think and it was funny because when I thought about doing this, I was
Mhm.
actually thinking about like, how would you have answered back then if you were,
Right.
like if I was, 19, 20 years old,
Yeah.
how would I have answered these questions? And I really tried to answer them as I would have back then.
Mhm.
Um, and the funny thing is like some of it is totally not coherent. Like that is not a coherent worldview because I was kind of all over the place. Like, oh,
Mhm.
nature is God, but I don't know if there's a God. I don't know if we go anywhere. Maybe we're just energy. It's almost like a little bit of a nirvana, like ascending,
Right.
kind of a thing. So, but I think that that's part of it. And I think that, from both of the from both of those areas that there was never a push to ask questions.
Yeah.
So I never felt like there was an outlet for me to go to like ask questions and that it was okay. I felt like I was supposed to just know.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of was like, okay, well then I'm just going to make up kind of my own deal.
Yeah. Wow.
So I think that's interesting. Those are good questions though. And I
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that you can kind of describe what each one is because there's a chance that people I would have been like, I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
that means.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what you're actually asking me. So that's
Also,
good.
I have the list right here of things that I can do. I think it was expanded. So, devout Roman Catholic and
Okay.
an H Hmong. I don't even know what H Hmong is.
I don't either.
H-Mong? Let me look it up real quick. H-Mong. There's a ton of different H-Mong people. Okay, it's like Chinese people, but
It must be a specific, is it like a specific belief system?
okay, it's an ethnic group living chiefly in China and Southeast Asia. Anyways, H-Mong Alliance Church, H-Mong American Peace Academy, H-Mong American Women's Association, H-Mong Chamber of Commerce. Anyways, there's a ton of those. I don't really know what that is.
Okay.
And then there's Chinese Student and Scholar Association, Milwaukee Modern Chinese School, and then like 5 or 6 more for Chinese, a couple for India, one for Taiwan, one for the Philippines, a ton for Jewish, B'nai B'rith, I don't know what that is, Coalition for Jewish Learning, Golden Mirror House, Jewish Community Center, Jewish Senior Center, Milwaukee Jewish Day School. Anyways, you can interview anyone that associates with that
Okay.
and is devout is the idea. And then there's American Hellenic Educational Progressive Association, Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church, Daughters of Penelope, Hellenic Dancers, St. Helen Women's Philopticos. I don't even know what that
It's
is.
crazy when you actually realize how many different belief systems
I
there are,
can't
right?
even
How many different
even just this
worldviews?
list. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for Muslim, there's Maruf. I don't know. I'm probably butchering that. And then Masjid Al Nur, and then like 25 more.
You're like, they're going to fall into
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, right.
There's so many
So
options.
yeah, it's just any Muslim. Native American, there's a ton for those. So there's like 3 broad groups.
Oh,
And
Native
then like,
American would be interesting too.
yeah, American Indian Movement, American Indian Chamber of Commerce, American Indian Center on Alcoholism, Ho Chunk Office, Indian Summer. Yeah, there's a ton.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Ben, did you have any idea where I was coming from with that?
With where you believed?
Yeah.
I just thought that you're agnostic and you're social relativist. That's all I drew.
Oh, that's actually
So,
pretty good, Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
Well, I was actually kind of agnostic. I mean, if you're
mean,
looking at
you
like a
can't-
broad term,
being agnostic is apparently saying that you don't know.
don't know.
That
Yeah.
you could know anything. Anything could be out there,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Just don't
Mhm.
know. And so that's pretty much just where you were.
Oh, that's
I have
interesting. And
a question.
socially, so why did you say social relativism?
Because you said society, that morals are a societal construct.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good, Ben.
And if I would have like asked you, I would have been like, okay, then what about Hitler, right? If it's society, morals are by society, right?
Yeah.
Then what makes the Holocaust thing wrong?
What's
I got
that?
a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got a question for go back a couple years, go back in time travel. And ask you,
Am I going all the way back to UAD? Is that where I'm at now?
yeah, you're going back.
Okay.
So why do you believe all these things? Why do you believe that it just goes well with reality, goes well with history, but also just why do you believe that there is some sort of higher power out there, but you don't know what it is? And why do you think that it goes well with
What do you mean by goes well with?
just like with reality?
Let's see. So why do I believe that like the I don't know
Why do you believe
position?
that you're right, essentially?
Well, I think that that really the position that I'm coming from is I don't know if there is a right. I don't think that that I believe that I'm right over anyone else. I just think that I'm honest in saying that I don't know. And that I'm open to things like, you know, that that I might not be right about my views, because even within the school that I currently attend and the church that I previously attended, there are drastic differences, and both of them would probably claim that they were Christians. But there are dramatically different views of Christianity.
So like, who's right?
So who is right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I guess
It's
I
just
come
up
from
to
the
you.
point of, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
it's up to the
I'm not
person.
pretending to know. Like, I think some of these people just are pretending to know, but they don't actually know, where I'm
Yeah.
just being honest and saying, I don't know. Like, I think a
Yeah.
lot of it just comes from society.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. So I feel like I'm just being honest and I'm just being accepting.
Accepting.
Yeah.
College Katura. So
Yeah. College
accepting.
Couture, just like I want everybody, I just want everybody to be happy. And I just want everybody to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe we're all just worshiping the same, God, but in our own unique and different way. And maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, what
Yeah.
if I'm a
Well,
Christian, right?
Yeah.
But then there's someone that doesn't believe in a God. Are they worshiping a God?
Yeah. I think no matter what you do, even when you say that you're not, you still kind of are, because you're just picking not that.
What do you mean?
So, if you're worshiping, like, let's say you are worshiping God and I'm like worshiping like just the God that exists in all things, like the God that exists in trees and butterflies, and um maybe it's just the same God and just in different forms. So we might be worshiping the same thing and we just don't know that we're worshiping the same thing because we're limited creatures, and whatever being, obviously, like the painter is smarter than the painting. The painting is never going to really understand what was in the mind of the painter.
yeah.
So I think as creatures, as whether you're a creature, I'm a creature, the dolphin is a creature, the turtle is a creature, and we just don't all fully understand the painter. So we might be all just following the same painter and we just are calling that painter different things.
I mean, but what is a God though? You say God a lot, but what is
I
a
don't
God?
know. That's the thing. I have no idea, because I think you can't, I think you just can't know it.
Would you say that like what God might be for me might be different for you?
Yeah, and it might
Like, is
be,
that
it might
okay?
end up being the same, like we might be call, I mean, it might be the same God. It's just I call it like nature.
Yeah.
Like these cherry blossoms that are behind me, like maybe God is just in all of that, and you think this God is like somewhere in like a spot called heaven, and maybe we're just both thinking of the same, it's the same God, but we just don't realize it.
How can God be in a plant?
Is God limited? Is your God limited in his capability?
No,
So
but
can your God,
he's not in
could
a
your God
plant.
be in a
He's not in
plant
a
if he
plant
wanted
though.
to?
He's not in a plant though. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere all at once,
So he
but
would
he's
be in a
not
plant.
confined within a limit though.
So if
Well,
he's everywhere all at once, all the time, could he be in a plant then?
well, he's not confined in a plant. He's
No, I
everywhere
didn't
all
say he
at
was
once, so he's
confined
not
in
in
a
just
plant,
one
but he's
place.
also in a plant. He's like everywhere.
Not really.
Do you see how I can get to it though? Like, I think back at that point, it was easy because words like that, like omnipresent, like it's hard for our minds to wrap around a word like that.
Yeah.
And so then I would say something like, well, if God's everywhere, then God can be in the cherry blossom. God could be the cherry blossom. Like, why is your God limited? Like, why couldn't your God be everywhere and be everything? So I think that's how I got to it.
I mean, I can understand it. Like it makes sense.
But it's not coherent. Like, that's the
No.
thing, is like when I look back at it, there's not a coherence to it. It was really a 19, 20-year-old, 18, 19, 20-year-old girl wanting just everybody to be like happy and not
You
wanting
wanted it
to.
to all be okay, to all
I wanted it
be
to be okay,
yeah,
and I wanted
yeah.
everybody to like be in this place, and like if I call it heaven and you call it nirvana and somebody else calls it something else, then why can't we just all like be there together? Um and keep in mind that I did not read the Bible cover to cover until I was 47.
Yeah.
So I had never read things like I'd heard things like I'm the gate and narrow is the path. But I don't think I truly understood the message of that and what Jesus was trying to say until I read it cover to cover. I'm like on year 3 of reading it cover to cover.
Yeah.
And I think I pick up more things every time.
Oh, I do too.
But so to me, in that mindset of the 19, 20-year-old, it was not narrow. It was wide. The path was wide and there were many ways.
Yeah.
So it never came from a point of arrogance where I thought I was right. So if anybody would have ever asked me that question, well, why do you think you're right? I don't. I have no idea what's right. Your way could be right. I have no idea.
Yeah, you're not trying to tell anybody else.
So it totally was
what to
like
do, how to feel, what to do.
agnostic social relativism is a great way of explaining it.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't know, and I didn't know who to ask to even find out. So I just was like, everybody's good.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what I would have thought back then, is that everybody was good, including like the dolphin. Like everybody's good. Like everybody's just
Dolphin
good.
cracks me up.
I really liked your dolphins.
I have
Check
a
the
tattoo of
ankle,
it on
man.
my ankle.
Yeah.
Like it's legitimately on my ankle.
That's hilarious.
I actually thought about getting it removed because it does represent, really 2 different.
Come up with a new
worldviews.
meaning for it.
Well, but you know what? Part of the reason I kept it, so I got the footprints, and that was a reminder that, again, coming out of, kind of my childhood Christianity, that poem was like, okay, he's always going to be with you. So even though you're leaving and kind of moving on and going to college, and I'm going to be out of the house, that God, it was almost like a security blanket, like my God was my security blanket.
Yeah.
And then the dolphin was just that, like, there was some idolatry, I think, there in that I just thought that I could create my own kind of religion. And that I could just kind of make it up, and that it could be like, hey, it's a little bit of this and it's a little bit of that and it's a little bit of that. And they don't have to be coherent. It could just be all a big, like, when I say it, it sounds so like hippie-ish.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I sound like a big giant hippie. Like, I'm just like, oh, everything is good and all is well and everybody's happy. And, but I think that came from a point of just like not wanting to judge others and not wanting to be judged. Like that's where that really came from. So I think having those on my 2 different feet is kind of like, one's on the top of my foot, one's on my ankle, and they're on opposite feet, is just kind of a reminder of like, hey, you have to remember where you're grounded, and don't let yourself kind of go off into, so to me, it's, I think that's like little lessons that I learned along the
that's
along
cool.
the way.
I like that.
So,
It's got a story. I like that a lot.
It's got a story. And then the other one, like one of my other ones, is I have a tribal son. So my mom's American Indian. I got like next to nothing of her American Indian, like legitimately. I got 23andMe. I have like next to nothing
Really?
of that like part of her lineage. And I have a tribal son tattoo. So I'm like, man, I really should have, like, again, it's just like when you leap and you just like do these things and you don't think, but that's all, that's sometimes what it is when you're in your, 1920s. You're just like, hey, I'm just going to do stuff.
I've almost got like 5 crappy tattoos.
Yeah.
By now, yeah.
I'm just going to do stuff. That was the thing, is like, I just did stuff. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to think about the ramifications of, what I'm doing later, which God,
30 years later.
Which gets you into a lot of trouble. You're like, oh, I'm just going to.
Did you ever do a stick and poke?
What's that?
Did you ever do a stick and poke?
No, what's that?
You never heard of that? You basically, there's different ways to do it. There's like you can get a stick and poke style tattoo like at a tattoo shop, or you can just do it yourself. You just need like a needle, and you dip it in tattoo ink, and you just poke your skin.
And it leaves it, and it stays there?
Yeah, so they're not permanent. They say, well, you can get different types of ink. Some inks purposely fade after like 6 months.
Is it kind of like henna?
Yeah, but a lot longer than henna. And it is under your skin.
So so my oldest son, when they went to Thailand,
Yeah.
they got tattoos by a Tibetan monk.
Oh, that's sick.
And it's with a really long, like, where
Yeah,
they
and
like
yeah, I've
tap it.
seen that. Yeah.
And it was interesting because they like they met with him. So this was when they were getting married, obviously. And they had to meet with him and kind of each tell this Tibetan monk like their story and then their story like together.
Yeah.
But you don't create the tattoo. The monk creates your tattoo.
What? That's sick.
So Jake has his on his chest. And he went first. And his wife like almost didn't go. And he's like, oh no, this was your idea. You're totally going.
We're doing this.
And Jake has a really high threshold for pain. And he was like, Mom, it was literally like he was like, I thought I was going to pass out. And he has a high threshold for pain.
Yeah, he's the
got it
army
on
guy,
his
right?
chest. Yeah. And so he's like, Mom, it was like the worst pain. And then she wanted to get it on her hip. Hers on her hip. But the Tibetan monk was like, I can't. Like, I can't touch you because you're a woman from like here to here. So she had to get it on like her lower leg and she's like, you're not actually touching me. It's like what's that long? I forget what it's called, but there was no like physical contact.
Yeah,
Like there
that's
was no
hilarious.
part of him that
Like,
ever
you're not
touched any
going
part
down.
of her. But he was like, I can't even touch you with something that is touching that part of your body. So he's like, the fact that I'm touching, that I'm holding this like thing and I have to put on the tattoo. He's like, I can't do that from like, I think it was like your thigh up to like your neck.
Shoulder, collarbone.
So she had to go like lower leg. And she's like, what the heck? But I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they did turn out pretty cool. So
that is
all
sweet.
right, this was fun.
Yeah, I like this one.
I like this. And Ben nailed it. That was you had a good description of,
good job,
what
Ben.
that was. See, I didn't even know what to call it. Now I have a name for it. Agnostic social relativism. There you go. That was my worldview. All right, awesome. So this has been a very strange coffee talk apologetics. And next time we will be interviewing, Levi will be interviewing a guest. And then this time, Ben, I'm going to try to get you a bio so then you can have a bio to kind of introduce said person.
Introduce people.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yay.
All right,
awesome. Bye, guys.
See you.
All right, peace.
Bye-bye.